friends, John Nord again. This video is about making money with silver and turquoise jewelry. Anyone can do this if you practice at it, and you can get all your materials for less than $100 that you need to do this with. Your materials, your tools. I made a list here in the description, which I will list in the description all the things and prices that you would need to do what I'm doing today here on the video. But a lot of people nowadays live on a ranch, a farm, a homestead in the big city, need to work from home, need to make extra money on the weekends, have an injury and you can't do physical labor no more. You need to do something inside, something a little bit less physical. This is a great way to make a living or supplement your living. And what I'm going to talk about today is specifically making sterling silver jewelry with real turquoise on it for less than $100 in supplies. This piece I'm going to show you how to make today. The materials for this one piece cost around $19. You can get about, I would say, $120 to $170 for this piece of jewelry, depending on where you are in the United States or wherever. Different regions are different prices. Once you do the investment on these simple tools, you can make a lot of other pieces. So you won't have that investment every time. You'll just have the material cost, the silver, the turquoise, the bezel cups, maybe the jump rings, things like that. But those things don't cost a whole lot of money, and yet your talent for making them by hand makes them valuable. So I'm going to go over some things that you will need to get started, and then I will show you how to make this piece of silver turquoise jewelry. Stay with me. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some of the tools that you will need to not specifically make this piece of jewelry we're making, but what you'll need in the future to make other pieces. Now, this is by far not near everything you need to make this a big business, but these are the few things that you can get started with for cheap money and get to making some extra money. One of the most important things is a jeweler's saw, some blades, and the wood V piece. It's mounted over on my bench here. I made mine out of a 1x6 and just cut a V notch out of it, and you bolt that to your bench or whatever you're sawing on. And I also got a video showing my portable one that I made. But anyway, you'll need that to put your piece up there and saw with this jeweler saw in the V part. And if you've watched my videos, you've seen me do that 100 times. Anyway, you can get on eBay a jeweler saw, blades, the V, and a clamp to put it on your bench for I think it's $29. All of those things. If you don't need the V, you can make your own and all. You can get the saw and blades for less than $20. Okay, the next thing you'll need is some blue tape, and this is more or less for this project we're doing today. But I use this to cover the back side of the silver up when I'm cutting it so I don't scratch it all up. And this can be found in any hardware store for around $5. You'll need some tweezers. You can get these online, less than $10. Stainless steel. You'll need some type of a push rod to hold your pieces in place while you solder them. And this is a stainless steel rod. It's something I made with a little hook on it. And you know, you can usually find stainless steel rod just about anywhere for not much money. A welding rod might work as long as it's stainless. Regular steel is probably not good because the solder will stick to it and things like that. Solder can stick to this too, but it doesn't burn up and heat up as bad. The next thing you'll need for soldering is a MICROTORCH. Now, I use a high heat torch for hard silver soldering. Today, this is what we're going to do is what we call soft solder. It's 430 degree solder, and this MICROTORCH will do that fine. And you can do soft solder on as much silver jewelry as you want to. Most jewelers and artisans will graduate to the hard silver solder that you're talking about 900 degrees on up, and it takes a lot more heat than what this can provide to do that. But for the solder today and the type of jewelry piece we're making today, this will work fine. And the type of solder you can use this with is Stay Brite. It's a 430 degree solder. It's 95% tin and about 5% silver. And it melts at 430 degrees. So you don't have to get it real hot to melt. And it's pretty strong. You put a bezel cup on with this, it's not going to come off. And then some Stay Clean flux. Now you can buy these two things on eBay or any welding supply. But the price I got off of eBay was, I believe, $20 is what I wrote down, and found this on eBay as a package deal, the flux and a roll of Stay Brite. Other than that, that's material-wise what you're going to need to do this project. You will need for this project today, you will need a little ball peen hammer, because we're going to do a hammered type piece of jewelry. And you can find these at any of the hardware stores, discounted for pretty cheap money. So your tools right here, just to make this type of jewelry I'm doing today, $70 maybe is all you need. And then you can use these over and over again on all your other pieces you make. Now, as far as what you're going to spend on the piece of jewelry we're making today, all you're going to need is a sheet of 22 gauge sterling silver. I say a sheet. You can buy this stuff 3 by 1, 3 by 2, 3 by 3. I'm talking inches. And you buy it from RioGrande, is where I get my silver from. If I'm not melting down scrap silver and rolling out my own silver. When I need to buy sheet silver, I buy it from RioGrande, and you can find them at riogrande.com. And this is a piece of 22 gauge, and it's a cross, and I cut that out using this jeweler saw on my little V-groove over here. And there's about well, it's sterling silver right now in 22 gauge is about $5 per square inch wholesale. So this is about 1 1/4 square inches. So you're figuring $7–8 for this piece of silver that this cross is cut out of. But you'll want to buy like a 3" by 3" piece of 22 gauge, so you can cut maybe 3 or 4 of these crosses out of it. And a 3 by 3 piece costs around $50 right now. So you can see if you can get 3 to 4 crosses or pendants. I'm not saying you have to make a cross, but pendants or anything out of that 3 by 3 piece, you know, you've got a lot of profit there out of that $50. The other thing we're going to be using today is a bezel cup. This is a 8mm. I get these at RioGrande. They're about 30 cents each. They're sterling silver. We're going to be using a sterling silver jump ring. Jump rings, 10 cents maybe, 5 cents. I buy them in a package. You can get those at RioGrande. And then we're going to be using a 8mm round cab KINGMAN Turquoise. You can buy this from KINGMAN website online. They'll mail it right to you. They come in a card of them, or you can buy just a few. Anyway, RioGrande has these also, but I don't believe they're KINGMAN. You can also find KINGMAN Turquoise online, but I warn you that you want to make sure it's real turquoise. I would rather buy from the KINGMAN mine. I usually go out there once a year and buy all my stuff, but you can order it from them through the mail. And this is ready to go. It just goes in the bezel and crimps down. These fit just like that. So, just trying to go over the things that I'll show you here today, but this cross here and the bezel cup, the turquoise, the jump ring, you're talking about maybe $19 for these things. And you're going to be making a piece of jewelry that, like I said earlier, maybe $120 to $170, depending on what area you're in. So you can see the profit potential. You know, you can make at least $100 profit from this one piece of jewelry. And then you've cleared all your supplies, and the next one you've already got your supplies, so you make a clear $100 on that one, you know. So this is how you can make money doing this from your place. So next we'll get into making this. Okay, I want to go over a couple of more things on the soldering. I made a little metal stand here to hold my solder, and I've got me just a wash pan. I don't know what this is. I got it at Tractor Supply, but it's just a pan. You can find this around your house probably. You probably have something like this. I cut the bottom off of a antifreeze jug to hold my water, my cooling water, and I got a sponge. This stuff doesn't cost nothing. You probably have it around your house already. And I've got a fire brick here on top of this stand. You could use a regular brick if you want to. It's just going to be a fireproof surface to hold your charcoal. And the best thing to do is to buy you a piece of charcoal. This one's a pressed piece of charcoal I got from RioGrande. I think they're $10, $15, but I have made my own charcoal. Built a big pit fire and burned some big logs, and then I put it out after they charred real good, and cut me some charcoal out of it, and I've used those blocks of charcoal also. They work just the same. They may not hold together as long as this will, but anyway, charcoal holds the heat and it makes your piece solder a little easier. You can solder on just the brick, but the brick tends to take some of the heat out of the piece. So with the 430-degree solder, it's not as critical. If you don't have the charcoal, you can just do it on a brick. You do want to don't use a piece of wood, you know. A brick is fireproof, and that's all you really need. And this pan is just kind of a safety thing where it catches the water when you cool it off, flux, whatever. And you want to be real careful soldering because you can set things on fire, you know. And it's best to do it in a good fireproof area. This place here is made for this, and You also, I've got to cover that you might want to wear a mask when you're doing this, a respirator. Some things say it's not good to breathe this solder. Anyway, that's just the safety things I wanted to go over. So you will need this little setup here, but like I say, you probably already have this stuff around the house, and if you're a little crafty, you can make your own little stand. So we'll get started. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put a hammer texture in this cross. Now we don't need to hammer in the center here where we're going to have our bezel cup. So I'm going to put it right here and just kind of orient myself as to where it sits. And I see that I just need to kind of hammer from the edges of the wings of the cross in, but not the very center. That way it'll give me a good flat surface to solder this bezel cup on. And you definitely want to get this hammered before you put any cups on it or anything like that. I'm doing this on a little bitty anvil I bought at Harbor Freight. I think it was like $30 when I bought it. But you don't have to have this. If you can find a hard surface around your house, maybe you've got a good hard piece of well, you know, I don't know, a piece of metal would be the best. A piece of plate steel. It needs to have a good solid backing, so when you're doing the blows on here, which aren't going to be real hard blows, but when you're doing the back on it, I mean the front on it, the hammering, the back won't dent down. This keeps the back flat while you're doing the hammering, and all the hammering's just on the front of it. So I would say one of these is great. They will cost you a little more money, but if you can go by a welding shop or something, they have a lot of scrap metal. If you can find something at least a 1/4 inch thick, not very big, it can be that big around, that's all you need. And they'll usually give you those little scrap pieces out from under their cutting table or something like that. So use your imagination and you can get out there and find this stuff for a little bit of no money. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to tap it lightly. We're going to do this all over. Now as you hammer this, it's going to start kind of bowing up because you're stretching the metal. But when we get done with it, we're going to actually kind of dome it back out after we get the bezel soldered on it. So don't worry about that. Okay, we have this hammered, and you can see how it kind of domed it from beating it on this side. Now I'm just going to straighten it up for now. Kind of flatten it out. About like that right there. Then I'm going to take this masking tape off the back. And we will put our bezel cup in here next. We'll solder it on. Okay, what we're going to do is tin the back of this bezel cup. I don't usually tin things, but with this low temp solder, this will be the easiest way to do it. So what we're going to do, we got it up here on our charcoal and we got it upside down. And we're going to put a little bit of this Stay Clean on the back of it. Just a drop or two. That'll give it the flux it needs. And then I got these, I call them forceps. I'm not sure what they're called. For doctors use them to stitch people up with to hold the needle and stuff. I was getting some stitches one day, and I asked the doctor, "What are you going to do with those?" He says, "Throw them in the trash." And I said, "Well, could I have them?" He says, "I guess so." So he gave them to me, and I use them to hold my solder. But you can hold your solder by hand if you want. So I got a little piece of that Stay Brite in here. This is 430 degree, and we're going to take this torch, light her up. We got a good blue flame, and we're just going to heat it up a little bit. When it starts bubbling, that's about right. And see, it don't take much to get this solder to flow. That's all it takes right there. So we'll pick that up. We'll put it in the water. And then we're going to put our cross right there. We're going to put some Stay Clean on it. We're going to put some more on this. And we're going to put it right there. This is very corrosive, this flux. So if you get it on any of your metal tools, you want to rinse them off. Okay. And we will make sure this is centered up. Make sure I'm not getting in the way of the camera. And we're going to hold it right there. Looks to be the center. And we're going to heat up around the outside, heat the cross up itself. And when you feel this bezel cup set down, it's soldered on right there. It just sat down on there. Take a little bit of water, cool it off, and it's ready to go. That's all there is to that. What it is you put that solder on the back of that cup, and it kind of is a dome shape on the back of there. And you put it on here, and you hold it down with that push rod, that stainless steel push rod. And when you heat it up with that torch, it just sets down like that. And when it does that, you know your solder melted and it's fastened. So then cool it off. The main trick here is to get your bezel cup in the center. And we did a pretty good job on that. So we're going to get it in here. Now from here, you don't have to have acid and all the stuff that on this piece that you see me use in my other videos. What you can do to neutralize the acids of the flux is to put it in some baking soda and water. Maybe a couple of tablespoons of baking soda and a flask of water. Put it in there, and that'll neutralize any of the acids. Then you can just simply take some steel wool and start polishing it. Okay, to finish this up, what we did is, like I say, I put it in some baking soda and water. I took some Dawn dish detergent. Dawn's the best in my opinion, but you can use any of it. And a toothbrush, and I scrubbed it real good. And that pretty much cleaned it up. I did use a jeweler's cloth. Also have some of these little jewelry polishing pads that you can get here and there. You probably have a cloth that came with some of your other jewelry or something. Anything that polishes silver will work. The little wool stuff that you get will work, but just get it polished up pretty good. And that's all I did to this. Steel wool to get the acid and burn marks off of it from soldering, which wasn't much because that low heat solder, you don't get a lot of bad stuff on it, and it shines pretty good. So then what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to set our stone in here, and I'm just going to put it down on one of these little pads so I don't scratch it. This video is for beginners, so I'm not using the tools that I use because I have access to better tools. I'm trying to do it the simplest way so you can see how to make this not having a big investment on tools. My point is on this video is to show people that they can make silver jewelry, silver turquoise jewelry with little investment, as long as you take the care to make it nice. You don't want to make a bunch of poor quality jewelry because it brings less money. But if you do a good job and spend the time it takes to do a real good detailed job, then you'll do good with it. And you might want to, I didn't mention this earlier, but when you cut these things out, sometimes you get a little nick on them where you're sawing. And you can take a little bitty file like this, or a piece of sandpaper, and just file the edges if you have any rough spots. This one's pretty nice. Okay, so we're going to put it here. We're going to put our KINGMAN cab in the middle, like that. And I normally use a burnisher. It's just an old leather tool I got. You could probably find one at a secondhand store, or you might have something else that might work. But anyway, today I'm just going to use a wood dowel. Anybody can get this. You can even go carve you a stick. Anyway, I'm just going to use this because it doesn't mar it while I'm setting it. And I'm just going to go around easily and take this down a little at a time, bending the bezel cup over the stone. A little at a time, all the way around. I keep going around until I get it all pushed in against the stone. Then I rub my finger over to make sure there's no sharp places. And so that's all it took. I just used this wood dowel to bend the bezel cup over the stone. And then, like I said, we wanted this particular cross, I like to dome it a little bit to the outside. So I just take my fingers and kind of bend it backwards into like a dish, like that. Not too much, just a little bit, like that. And then we'll take a jump ring and put it in here. Most of these jump rings you can bend by hand, but I use some small pliers usually. This jump ring has solder in it, and what I would do is I would cover, I would hang this like this, and I would solder it real gently with my MICROTORCH until the solder comes out and puts it together. If you use a stainless steel jump ring, you'll have to use pliers to bend it together, but they don't really need to be soldered together. They hold real well without being soldered. But sterling silver ones, you usually need to solder them together, and you can do that with the same solder we used a while ago. Just make sure that you maybe take your tweezers like I had a while ago, and hold it up in the air like that, and keep your flame this way, away from that stone. In fact, before you put that stone in there, it would probably have been best if I would have soldered that together before I put the stone in. I got in a little bit of a hurry. That would keep it from getting any heat on the stone. So that's what I would suggest, is put your jump ring in before you put your stone in, and then solder it shut with the same solder we used. Put a little bit of Stay Clean on there and just a touch of solder, and that will close it up to where it won't open up on you. And then you can bring it over here, set it down, put your stone in, and then buff it all one more time, and you don't have any chance of heating that stone up, because it will change the color of turquoise if it gets too hot. But anyway, I got a little ahead of myself, but anyway, that's generally what you do. So I hope I accomplished something for the beginners out there. I wanted to show how you can make a piece of silver turquoise jewelry, hand make it in a short time with minimum cost. And like I say in the description, I'm going to put a list of some things that I used here in the video. And this handmade cross will bring good money, and there's no reason it won't. You did it all by hand, and you have genuine turquoise in it, and you have genuine silver. I cut my initials and 925 on the back of this with my engraver. You don't have to do that, but it is best if you can make a mark of 925 and maybe your initials, because that tells people that this is sterling silver, and it tells them that someone made this by hand. So if you can find a way to mark that, I did it with my little engraver, which is a whole nother thing and a whole nother cost. But you can get these little vibrating engravers for, shoot, I've seen them for $10, $15, and you can do that same engraving just with that. It's not a requirement, but I highly recommend it, because that's what gives your piece value. Otherwise, people might think that this piece is not silver. Maybe it's plated silver. But when you put that 925 on the back, or sterling on the back, it tells them that that is real sterling silver, and that will make the difference in the value of your piece. So I thank you for tuning in. I hope I helped you and I showed you a way to make some money making jewelry. And please subscribe to my channel and like my videos, and I'll keep them coming. Thanks.